Welcome to this video lecture. In this lecture, we're going to talk a little bit about metacognition and learning. The idea of this lecture is to help you think about what are the kinds of strategies and study skills and things that you should be doing during this course in order to be successful. Now, some of you may already be well versed in this, and if you are, feel free to move ahead. But I think that a lot of these things that we're going to point out today will be of benefit for you, not only in this class, but throughout your career at the university. So what I want to do is start off showing a video. Now, this is, if you'll let me indulge my family, this is my little boy when he was 2 years old. Okay, so let's watch this video. And while we're watching this, ask yourself the question, if you have the curiosity of a 2-year-old. Oh. Get it! Those are my daughters screaming in the background. Get it!
Send it, little buddy! Did he squish it? Did he squish it? No.
The girls are screaming.
Are you videotaping?
Just keep going. This is a darkling beetle, by the way, so they're pretty tough.
The beetle lives on.
You gotta get on the floor. Luckily, kids don't know how to place their feet very well. What is it? Take a look at that smile. I mean, that is the true just joy of chasing a beetle around, right? It's true curiosity, true wanting to learn. And I think that we lose that a little bit as we grow older and as we go through middle school and high school, and that curiosity for nature and for learning somehow gets beat out of us. Now, hopefully it didn't out of you. Hopefully you still have that. But if not, it's time to find that again. I like this quote from Rachel Carson. I like where she's like, "A child's world is fresh and new and beautiful, full of wonder and excitement. It is our misfortune that for most of us, that clear-eyed vision, that true instinct for what is beautiful and awe-inspiring is dimmed or even lost before we reach adulthood." And then she says, "I would ask that each child in the world be given this sense of wonder, so indestructible that it would last throughout life." And that's kind of the same hope I have, that we all have this sense of wonder for the world around us, for the biology, but also for everything else. And all of the classes that we take at the university should just be, just this curiosity that we have to learn. Maybe I'm overstretching this a little bit, but I hope that each of you think about this as you take not only this course, but the other courses at the university. So my teaching philosophy, and I am sure that this coincides with many of the other professors here, can be summarized in these two quotes. First, that education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. Our jobs are not to just fill your heads with facts and information. In fact, our jobs are really just to get you excited about this material so that then you go forth and learn. Tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, involve me and I may learn and I learn. This is hard with an online class, but we're going to design the best course that we can such that you are engaged with the material. That's the intent here. Of course, a face-to-face class is better in the way that we can manipulate things with you and really have you involved, but we're going to do our best with this online class, so please give us a chance. Now, what I want to really distinguish between is learning and studying. I think that these two words are sometimes misunderstood. And what we really want to have happening is learning, not just studying. And to do this, you really need to become familiar with a term called metacognition. I'm not sure if you know what this is. I'll come back to that in just a moment. First, I want to ask you a couple questions. First, for which task would you work harder? Okay, if you knew you had a midterm exam coming up in one of your classes and you want to make an A, how much effort would you give to that? And how much effort would you give if the instructor assigned you that in the following week you had to teach the entire lecture, the entire class, the entire lecture? You had to come up with any of the assignments. You had to grade those assignments. You had to do if you had to do everything that is about being a professor for a day, essentially, which task would you work harder on? I'll bet most of you are probably thinking, well, teaching the material. Yeah, because you have to know what you're going to be teaching. You got to be able to anticipate any questions that may come up. You have to give examples. And if a student doesn't understand, you have to re-explain it in a different way. All of these things, if you had to do that, of course you're going to learn the material better. And so what I want you to think about is, which mode have you mostly been in your career? Think about back to high school even. Were you mostly just a studier and then take a test? Or were you more of a learner, learning it so that you could teach it? Well, metacognition really has to do with the latter. Because it's thinking about how you think, right? It's being consciously aware of how you are a problem solver. It's almost like you come out of your body and you look at yourself as you're studying. Like, what kind of a of a student really are you? What kind of a learner are you really? What kinds of activities do you do? And so you monitor and you control one's mental processing, right? And you judge how well you're really learning. That's what metacognition is. So I want to watch just a few parts of this interaction between Sheldon, the instructor, and Penny, the learner. Now, both of them, especially Sheldon, doesn't do a good job. That's why I laugh at this, because I think about how sometimes we as instructors fall into this mode, but we shouldn't. And also Penny as the learner. So let's watch this real quick.
Hey, Sheldon.
Come in. Take a seat. Subject has arrived. I've extended a friendly, casual greeting.
Ready to get started?
One moment. Subject appears well rested and enthusiastic. Apparently ignorance is bliss. All right, let us begin. Where's your notebook?
How many of you on the first day of class or something showed up and the professor's like, where's the blah blah? And you're like, oh, I didn't know, right? Sometimes that happens. We need to be better at letting the students know what we expect from them. So teachers need to be better at describing the expectations. And a good syllabus should do that.
I don't have one.
Well, how are you going to take notes without a notebook?
I have to take notes?
Well, how else are you going to study for the tests?
Gonna be a test?
Tests. Here, that's college ruled. I hope that's not too intimidating.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And that's, sometimes I know that we come across this way. I hope it isn't always this way. But yeah, sometimes there's like this really unequal relationship that is apparent, right, between the instructor and the students. Now, we need to treat each other with respect, but it is not okay the way that Sheldon is treating his student in this case. It is funny, though.
You're welcome. Now, introduction to physics. What is physics? Physics comes from the ancient Greek word physica. It's at this point that you'll want to start taking notes.
Now, note-taking is important, and so I would encourage you to take notes even while you're watching the video. Come up with a way where you're going to be organizing the information that you get, either through the videos or through your readings.
Now remember, Newton realized that Aristotle was wrong and force was not necessary to maintain motion. So let's plug in our 9.8 meters per second squared as A, and we get force, Earth gravity, equals mass times 9.8 meters per second. So we can see that MA equals mg, and what do we know from this?
Now, how many of you have ever felt like Penny, right? Where the professor is maybe so excited about what he's doing and he's just really, and you are just sitting there like, I am lost, right? Well, it's important that is communicated, and it's important that we figure out how to better find the pace of each student. In an online class, this is hard because we don't see you, right? So you need to communicate with the instructors and let them know when you need extra help, when you need things explained a different way. The nice thing though is that because a lot of this stuff is like videos and recording, you can go back and watch it again. And if you need it slower, you can slow it down. If you want it faster, you can speed it up. I like how Penny asks it for it to be slowed down right here.
We know that Newton was a really smart cookie. Oh, is that where Fig Newtons come from?
No, Fig Newtons are named after a small town in Massachusetts. But don't write that down. Now, if MA equals MG, what does that imply?
I don't know.
What, but how can you not know? I just told you. Have you suffered a recent blow to the head?
Hey, you don't have to be so mean.
I'm sorry. Have you suffered a recent blow to the head?
No, you just suck at teaching.
Really? Of those two explanations, which one seems the most likely?
Sheldon, I'm trying to understand, but you're going too fast. Can you just back up a little bit?
All right. It's a warm summer evening in ancient
Not that far back.
Greece. Okay. At what point did you begin to feel lost?
I don't know. Where were we looking up at the night sky?
Greece.
Damn it!
Look, there's no need to get frustrated. People learn at different rates.
That's true. And so figure out how you need to learn the best. That's why you need to be metacognitive about how you learn best.
Unlike objects falling in a vacuum, which... MA equals MG...
Squared?
No.
Aristotle?
No.
5?
Oh.
Then I don't know.
Why are you crying?
Because I'm stupid.
Well, that's no reason to cry. One cries because one is sad. For example, I cry because others are stupid and it makes me sad.
Okay, look, can we just please forget about all this extra stuff and can you just tell me what Leonard does?
All right.
Now this part's interesting because Sheldon's able to simplify what she is trying to get at. And what I would liken this to is our learning objectives. Focus on the learning objectives because that's us as professors trying to boil down what it is we really want you to be able to know, be able to do, right? In other words, that's your study guide for the course, are the learning objectives. Sheldon actually does this quite well in a little statement here.
Leonard is attempting to learn why subatomic particles move the way they do.
Really? That's it? Well, that doesn't sound so complicated.
It's not. That's why Leonard does it.
Okay, I just have one question. What exactly are subatomic particles?
A good question.
Thank you.
And to answer it, we first must ask ourselves, what is physics?
Oh, balls.
Okay, so if you ever get frustrated or you feel like you're going to cry like Penny, just realize it's not that bad, and we're here to help you, okay? But I hope you enjoyed watching a little bit of Sheldon and Penny, because that is really funny. Now, I want to propose to you that this metacognition way of learning will make a difference. Here's an example of 3 students. The numbers in black are before they learned about metacognition and about these ways of studying, and then the numbers in red are after. And in all cases, the students got it way, way better. Now we're doing this we're including this at the beginning, I think, of the semester here, and so hopefully this will help you throughout the entire semester, not just halfway through. You need to know about Bloom's taxonomy. If you haven't heard of this before, this is it's in a pyramid because it's kind of like at the bottom are these base level learning skills, these really low level thinking skills, things that were just like remembering, recalling relevant information, things like understanding, where you can construct meanings from oral, written, and graphic message. So these are really low level skills. And then you get up into the mid-level skills, applying and analyzing, and then the higher level skills of evaluating and creating. And if you look at our learning objectives, you can see that we use these verbs, and these verbs are specifically can be tied back to a level of Bloom's taxonomy. Sometimes we're going to use verbs like identify, define, that are low level, or describe and explain that are kind of mid-level, or compare and contrast that are high level. So pay attention to that as you look through the learning objectives and try to relate those to the levels of Bloom's taxonomy. Realize that we're going to focus more on higher level stuff for high stakes exams and for high stakes homework assignments, and then for lower level type quizzes and low level homework assignments, those will be more of the low level and mid level type activities. Now, if you think back to your high school career, I'll bet most of the time you were doing the lower level type activities, remembering and understanding. And as you go into college, we're going to continually push you more into the higher level, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. So to be successful in this course, for sure do all of the activities and assignments, because they're designed to help you address the learning objectives, okay? And then the exams are written based on the learning objectives. So it's no wonder that students that complete the assignments and quizzes and homework do better on the exams, okay? Here's the data that shows how that is the case. Also, you need to learn continually with metacognition in mind. So remember to use this framework of metacognition, and then be prepared to ask any questions. Try to form groups if you can. If you can't, then at least be a student who then goes and tries to teach these things to other people. And that way you'll really feel like you know it. And then use the TAs, if there are any, the tutoring center, the OTL, which is the Office of Teaching and Learning at UVU. They can help you also with more metacognition and learning strategies if needed, and always use your instructor. So how can you move yourself through this Bloom's taxonomy, especially if you mostly just have been using the lower levels in high school and so forth? Well, one of the most key things is to have a study cycle. So for an online class, this looks something kind of like this, where you start with previewing material. So that means skimming through the learning objectives, through the chapter, look through what's coming up in a way so that you're prepared for it. And then once you've skimmed through it, then you attend class. Now, I don't know what that means for sure in an online class, but if I were you, I would set up a very specific schedule where you dedicate maybe an hour, okay, to watch the videos and do the reading, okay? And then take notes as you're doing that. Then after you're done, you need to do some review. So you should do a little bit of review of what you just did. That means looking back through your notes. If you need to go back and rewatch a little part, you could or something, but you just do a quick review. Okay, then throughout the rest of the week, you need to also have study sessions. And I like to call these intense study sessions, okay? Where you set a goal. So you think about something that you're going to set a goal on. Maybe it's like, I need to understand natural selection better. So you set a goal, I'm going to understand natural selection better. Then you focus really strong on interacting with the material. So that means going back to your notes and then maybe doing some skills like creating concept maps, and I'll show what those look like here in just a second. Maybe you fill in more of your notes. Maybe you go back and rewatch a portion of the lecture and think about it. Maybe you watch some of the additional lectures that are offered that might help you understand better. So you do some of that, then take a break. This is important. You need to reward yourself. Take a break and do something, get a treat or something, and then come back. This is really important that you do a review for 5 minutes, okay? And then always be assessing your learning. Periodically think about, am I using the best methods? Do I understand this? And your first assignment on this metacognition is actually going to be a reflective piece where you think about how are you using one of these methods. So we're gonna do 3 activities here, or 3 things, just to get you in, to give you some examples of how you might do some of this. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to click over and we're going to see a bunch of words, and I want you to count the vowels in these words, okay? Give yourself 45 minutes or 45 seconds or whatever. I don't know what I'll give you, but start counting the vowels. All right, did you get them all counted? Okay, so how many vowels? Say it out loud. Well, guess what? I really didn't even want you to count the vowels. What I really wanted you to do was, how many words or phrases do you remember? Now, don't get mad at me. There's a reason why I did this little trickaroo on you, okay? How many words or phrases do you remember from that list? Could you say any of those or write them down right now? Well, want another look? Okay, let's look at this list again. What do you notice about this list of words? dollar bill, dice, try, 4, hand, 6, 7, it goes up to 15, right? Did you see that now? Maybe some of you saw it the first time, but does everyone see that now, right? Now, if I asked you to memorize those words and you knew that they were organized in this way of 1 to 15, could you do better now? Now that that information is in a context or in a tool, could you do better at memorizing the words? Yeah. So let's come back to thinking about how does this apply to metacognition and using learning strategies. I think sometimes students think that studying for an exam means, all right, I open up the textbook and I just start reading from word number 1 until the very end of the word of the chapters that are going to be covered on the exam. That's like counting vowels, when in reality what you should have been doing was trying to grasp what are the words, right? And in the same way, I would argue that you shouldn't be just doing the old school studying methods. You need to be doing these new methods of learning and metacognition so that you can really, really understand and internalize the information. You really, really learn it. You learn the information. Okay? Here's some other, I'll give 2 other examples. A concept map or a chapter map. So whatever title, whatever concept or topic that you're looking at, this would go up here, and then you gradually break down the subheadings, the primary headings, and then into subheadings and secondary subheadings and so forth. And sometimes it could be words inside of here. Sometimes it could be a little picture that you draw or whatever. I don't know. But it's a way of organizing the information differently. And when you do this, I found students generally can learn and contextualize the information, right? Using a tool to understand and remember the concepts better. Okay. Sometimes just highlighting when you're reading in very intentional ways can help you. When you read all of the subheadings of the chapter first, and then you go back and do more intentional reading. Right? There's lots of different things you can do. You can do compare and contrast examples where you bring in the 2 concepts and how are they similar and how are they different. Lots of different things. And if you need a list of more things, I think we're going to include a list on the website somewhere, but also you can go to the Office of Teaching and Learning. They can help you out with more and more learning strategies as well. So what can you do right now to pursue better grades this semester, right? So you can go from those lower grades to higher grades. Well, take any of these ideas that I've given you, right? The first thing could just be spending more time. I think some students don't realize that the expectation of the university is 3 hours per 1 credit hour. So that means for an online course like this, it's a 3 credit hour class times 3. That's 9 hours a week. Typically for a face-to-face class, it looks more like for every 1 hour in class, you should be spending about 2 hours outside of class. I don't think most students realize that that's the expectation at UVU. You can look that up in the policies if you want. So think about that. Now, it may not always be that much time that you dedicate, but realize that you might have to dedicate that much time. Students need different amounts of time to study. And then use the study cycle with intense study sessions like I taught you. Think about the other learning strategies like concept maps, intentional reading, and so forth. Use office hours and study groups and talk to others and teach others. Use metacognition to study smarter. And then any other ideas that you know of, that you've done before, that you heard of, anything you know that works for you, you can use that as well. And then here's the assignment, okay? First, you need to tell us what strategy you're going to commit to implementing, okay? At least for a week or 2. Then at the end of the implementation, you're going to talk about what changes did you observe. So you're just going to tell us, how did it go? Okay. Now, hopefully it goes well and you continue to do it the rest of the semester. But if not, you could switch to maybe some other things. But we want you to be very metacognitive about the way that you're taking on this course, and then you'll be able to apply it to the rest of your courses. I think it's really going to help you. So that comes to the end of this introductory lecture on metacognition. Hope you enjoyed it, and good luck on the rest of the course.